Disclaimer, to all you regular Metal 8 fans, this isn't gonna be a normal video, it's another school project one. I know, 2 in the same year. So look, I'm not gonna say any naughty words, I'm just gonna be cool, calm, and collective. Before you start worrying, no, this isn't the video I've been spending the entire month on. It's like about halfway done. If you want updates, check out the Schlop channel known as Extra Metal 8. It's got video updates, and basically that's the only reason you come over there, and also my like schizo ramblings. Alright, whatever, you've been disclaimed. Berserk is my favorite story, piece of fiction, thing on paper to ever exist. I mean, the only one that was kind of close to almost beating it was Steel Ball Run. But the thing is, Berserk is so good that it genuinely ruins other things for me. That's how good it is. Occasionally, I'll be watching something and I'll be like, wow, Berserk did this like 1,000 times better. My whole thing is that I put fate into my own hands and manipulate. Do you have a big sword? No. Boring, boring, I don't care, boo, boo. You know, the death of my family has truly changed my life. Yeah, that's cool and all, but are you branded with a mark that leads demons to you and means you can never truly be close to anyone? No? Then I don't care! Hello, I'm Osaka from the hit series Azumanga I kneel. Berserk hits the 3 pillars that are necessary for me to like something, okay? Style, substance, and story. A lot of things, especially nowadays, can't hit all 3. Berserk does that. I'm gonna just go with the easy ones first because, you know, I'm lazy. Berserk is dark fantasy. Is kind of a redundant term, counting on it is literally, when you think of dark fantasy, you should think of Berserk. But even on the surface level, Berserk is a incredibly gorgeous manga. The line work and attention to detail, even in the most minute of scenes, is incredible. Every centimeter of the paper is used so well. Every panel filled to the brim with little details that most people won't notice, unless you're a guy like me. Another thing that's very important in Berserk is the gore. I mean, in most anime, it's kind of just like, alright, there's a red splotch, like, right there. That's how you know he's dying. In Berserk, you actually see that guy's entire esophagus, like, you see his kidneys and stuff. There's genuinely so much passion and action in almost every scene. And even in scenes where it doesn't really matter, like people talking, there's so much expression to them. The world of Berserk is in such a grisly reality because, like in most anime, a guy starts monologuing, you know, the human species, such a gross, weird creature. Is that a gun? Berserk is a world where insane things happen and they play it so straight. But the best way to play it straight is with substance. Substance. Okay, literally I just kind of mean characters because look, man, there's not a lot of good like S words for that represent characters. Substance, close enough. Alright? Man, just let me yap. The door's locked, alright, you can't leave. I'm gonna yap. I'm gonna talk about 2 very important characters to me. Mostly because I love them, but also mostly because if I talk about anyone else, that's kind of major spoiler territory, and I really want you to read this manga, especially one dude. First, you have the main character, Guts. Alright, from what you've seen of him, you might be thinking, okay, what is this guy? Some sort of an edgelord that kills people all the time? I mean, you say it like it's a bad thing. Guts is clearly a unwell person. I mean, I don't think any real stable person kills people with a giant sword. Speaking of his sword, you might notice a few things. It's comically large in scale, and it's not like, oh wow, Cloud Strife, how do you carry that around? Everyone's like, holy, how do you even wield that thing? To quote the manga itself, it was much too big to be called a sword. Massive, thick, heavy, and far too rough. Indeed, it was like a heap of raw iron. That is the coolest way to describe a weapon ever. Alright, that is the most metal thing of all time. Besides me. Which, his weapon doesn't exactly just represent his weapon, but it's mainly to reflect on Guts himself. A weapon designed specifically for the most amount of damage and the most amount of violence. Because Guts is an incredibly pained man. He's never exactly in a well state. Guts has probably one of the worst mental and physical sort of conditions you can have as a person. For one, he barely sleeps. For two, he's always wounded. And for three, I can't mention that part, that's spoilers, but like, it's worse. You know, after describing a man like that, you gotta think. He's gotta have some real shooters with him, alright? Some of the craziest, most dangerous men alive. Yes! 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 This guy called Puck. That's my goat. That's my goat. Puck, other than being the goat, is the metaphorical and literal angel on Guts' shoulder. They only meet because Guts inadvertently saved his life by killing a handful of bandits. And he only did that because he wanted to kill a demon. And he has the weak plebeian mindset that maybe murdering everyone is a bad idea. And he's honestly the only person trying to actually help Guts. And they have an amazing dynamic. Counting on one of them is the scariest man ever to exist. And the other one is just like... Puck is truly the voice of reason that Guts, oddly enough, listens to, despite his reluctance. And Guts genuinely needs a sort of, third person to look at him and say, hey man, you shouldn't really do that. There's this part of the story where a girl's father just literally died before her eyes after becoming a demon. And she's crying her eyes out. She's like, man, my life is so horrible. Then Guts pulls up on her and is just like, alright, Puck, that was a reasonable reason to hit it. Okay, that was... As number one Guts fan, I don't know why he said that either. You don't have the internet. Okay, yeah, there's fun characters in it, and it's very complex. But what about the story? The story of Berserk is probably one of the most important elements to it. I mean, yeah, obviously, it's a book. You can't do a lot with a book other than read it and read the story. The story of Berserk is best read yourself, okay? But I mean, come on. It's a very popular manga. There's gotta be a good anime adaptation. Not really. Okay, 1997. They had like no budget. They had to use watercolor paintings instead of using actual action. But it has a good, cozy vibe, but it does cut a few things, and it's just Golden Age. It also has the outtakes cut, which is amazing.
Anyway, oh God, my arm! Oh Jesus, God, this hurts! Oh!
The movies, oh my God, these ones have such amazing visuals. It's only Golden Age, and they cut a few things. Berserk 2016. Never again. Never again. Who thought this was a good idea? Never again. Look, man, I would just recommend reading it because it's a good book. It's a good book. The main big things of Berserk's story are its themes of free will, betrayal, revenge, and destiny. Okay? Destiny is one of the biggest parts of Berserk because it's literally a element in the story itself. Will I get into it? Major story spoilers. I can't. Binding Val. I can't. I can't do it. I can't do it. You're gonna have to read the book. It's like you can read stuff for free online. I mean, I'm not gonna stop you from buying the deluxe edition. The deluxe editions are incredibly nice. So nice, man. They combine a bunch of those tiny manga books into one big book, and it's so nice and big. Yes, I love consuming product. Buy product. The story of Berserk is unlike any other. It's genuinely one of the darkest, most insane, most beautiful, most disgusting, most horrifying, most invigorating. Genuinely, the story is so good, and there's no filler. It's literally just the story is happening, and you just read it. Every element about it is so important, okay? You take any bit out, everything else falls apart. I feel like you gotta ruminate this entire manga like a nice wine, okay? I mean, I honestly started reading it in freshman year while I was doing my daily walks, while also listening to like feminist literature and being 6'4", making six figures. Ladies, I know I'm great, but it's truly a once in a lifetime experience. I don't think a manga will ever be this good ever again, and I'm not the only one who thinks this. So does the rest of everything. The impact of Berserk is probably one of the biggest cornerstones in all of media history, okay? Okay, he coined the giant sword tiny guy trope, okay? Guts did that. The entirety of Dark Souls is literally just like, guys, what if we did Berserk, but hard?
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money.
Like, unironically, there are so many things that are literally just direct one-to-one copies from Berserk because he's a ginormous Berserk nerd. My man. I mean, it's everywhere, man. Alright, Jindama, Dr. Stone, Black Clover, Fly Me to the Moon, Enzeme, Hollow Knight, Monster Hunter, Devil May Cry, Captain America for some reason. What? There's a reason anytime someone sees a big sword in the game, they're like, ah, yeah, Guts Berk reference. I like that. Berserk is probably, well, objectively, I'm just saying, this is what just the streets are saying, the greatest manga of all time. Alright? It's genuinely criminal that we haven't gotten a good anime adaptation, but that's what the streets are saying, not me, you know me. Berserk is just one of the most noticeable pillars of the anime industry, okay? Its soul is in so many other properties, and its influence will probably still last until I'm like 90. There will most likely never be a manga as good or even close to as influential as Berserk. It's genuinely so beautiful, and like, I know this is gonna be like insane, like instantly someone's gonna be like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna go read it right now, and look at the first page and be like, this is what he's been glazing this whole time? Okay, look, it's a very tough pill to swallow, but the thing is, it's full of vitamins, nutrients, and it's a guy with a big sword. It doesn't get much better than that. It excites my monkey brain, and my like intellectual brain's like, oh yes, yes. Is our fate predetermined? Can we work against fate and create our own path? You know, is really working towards vengeance the best course of action? Or should we rely on our loved ones? The sword guy's cool. Anyways, there's not much left for me to say, except for the fact that I glossed over a lot. Okay, there are so many things about this manga I would love to say, but due to time constraints and me not wanting to spoil anything, I can't. Alright? And I've limited myself to like a very small chunk to topic talk about, and like this video is basically like 15 minutes just from that. If I talked about like all of Berserk, we'd be here for like 20 hours. Well, I'll be damned. But truly, Berk good. Okay, yeah, this was a very rushed upload. You know, deadlines. I wanted to work on the tree pang video some more. It's like 3 a.m. right now. Anyways, if you thought that was good, you have very low standards. But if you're looking for something better, subscribe to the Metal 8 channel, okay? This is me at my most reserved. Usually I don't hold myself back from talking about a topic. That's why there's like an hour-long Lisa the Painful video, and I feel like I still could have gone in deeper. You should really watch it. It's some of my best work, man. You know me, I gotta be careful with what I say. Last time I did this, I ruined Strive, okay? Potemkin is now top tier, and that's my fault, okay? That's completely my fault. So I'm gonna use my power for good. Any oil barons out there, buy Mappa and make them make Berk anime. Anyways, if you're a regular Metal 8 viewer, go subscribe to the second channel. I post schlop there, more content, video updates, blah blah blah. Who cares, man? I'm tired. Good night, gamers.
If I left you, my darling.